A king and queen ruled over a magnificent kingdom. Their subjects loved them. Their castle shone like the sun, and there was never any famine or drought. They knew they were very lucky, yet something was missing. One morning, the queen woke up with a pain in her heart. It was a steady ache that filled her with sadness. "I feel it too," the king said. "It feels as if my heart is tearing in two." Jason and I had always talked about adopting because we didn't know if we'd be able to have our own kids. But 5 years after we got married, we kind of surprisingly, on purpose, got pregnant with Evelyn. And then less than 2 years after she was born, we had Quinn. And from the time that we were pregnant with her, we didn't really talk about adoption. I don't think we mentioned it once. But after Quinn was born, it kind of was still in the back of my mind. And I kept seeing around town this girl. She was about my age. She had beautiful curly red hair, and she had a little Asian toddler. And every time I saw her, I would cry. And finally, I realized why I was crying was because in her and with her child, I was seeing what I felt was missing from our family. One day, an old peddler wheeled his cart of trinkets into the kingdom. Hearing about the king and queen's distress, he requested an audience. "It is as I thought," the man said when he saw them. "There is a red thread being pulled from your hearts." "A red thread?" the queen gasped. "Where?" "I see nothing," the king said. "Try on my spectacles," the peddler said, holding out his wire frames. "You will see." And sure enough, when the queen put on the glasses, she could see a brilliant red thread coming from her heart. It ran around the room, out the castle door, and far beyond. With every move she made, the thread pulled and twisted, causing her pain. The king, too, saw the thread coming from his heart. The two threads had knotted together into one thick strand. Out of nowhere one day, we were driving down 280, and I think Quinn was maybe a year old, if that, so Evelyn probably was not even 3. I just kind of blurted out, "I still think I want to adopt." And Jason was a little taken by surprise because we'd
deer in headlights kind of deal. Yeah.
We'd only ever talked about having 2.
After our own kids were born, I'd kind of, shelved the idea a little bit. I just thought, we had our 2 kids, we were good. And yeah, when she mentioned that to me on the highway, I don't think I quite ran into somebody, but I came really close to. But it was something that it took me. And be honest, it kind of took me a little bit of time to get on board with it, and God kind of had to change my heart a little bit because I don't know that I was really on board with it at first, too. Especially after we had our kids.
I kind of told him I felt like it was a calling, that's what God had called me to do, that we were supposed to adopt.
And then so when the topic came up again, however what long it was, she said, "Okay, well, I've thought about this," and I just blurted out, I was like, "Let's go get a little girl from China. That's what I want to do." And then she was kind of, I think it was her turn. It was her turn to be shocked that time.
Yet when the thread led them to the shore of a vast sea, they almost despaired. But the thread tugged at them, so they bought a boat and began to row. The closer we got to, signing papers, this fear just kept building inside me. And I just kept thinking, what are we doing? This costs a fortune of money we do not have. Most of these children, are damaged in some way, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and require so much more attention and time and therapies. God gives us impossible situations so that He can have the glory, because we can't do the impossible by ourselves. So when we accomplish it, it's because He has made us accomplish it. He's not going to call you to do something hard and then hang you out to dry. He's going to provide the means to make it happen. So that's when I realized, the money didn't matter. The money would be there when we needed it. Her problems wouldn't matter because He would equip us to deal with them. The time frame wouldn't matter because she would come when she was meant to. That we have to believe that her soul is meant to be in our family. Even though she wasn't born from us like Evelyn and Quinn were, she's just as much a Helms, no matter what country she's in, or when, or how old she is when she joins her family. The end of the red thread was within their sight. They ran to a small bundle in front of an old house. When they reached the bundle, both stopped in amazement. Inside the bundle was a baby. She was laughing and playing and tugging at the red threads tied around each of her ankles. She looked up at the king and queen and smiled. "Whose baby is this?" the queen asked. "Who does she belong to?" Her words were strange to the villagers, who chattered in a language that the king and queen could not understand. Finally, a wrinkled elder pushed herself forward. The elder's bespectacled eyes followed the short red threads connecting the king and queen to the baby. Her face broke into a broad smile. "This baby," the old woman said, "belongs to you." So we have completed our paperwork. We are in process. We are waiting to be matched. So there's not an actual child yet that is ours. We're waiting on that. Hopefully this time next year we will be home from China with her.
You can't solve the problem on your own. You're not going to, but you can solve it for somebody. And you can be God's hand to somebody. And even if it's just one, you made a difference for that one child.
So the king and queen took the baby home to their castle, and she became the princess of the kingdom. They never felt the pain in their hearts again. Instead, they were filled with joy and happiness. They never found out how the red thread had connected them to their daughter, but they knew why, and that was all that mattered. The end.